Are you longing to feel connected and not so alone? Longing to be happy and more alive? Badass Counseling is excited to announce the creation of Community Plus, a subscription-based private group of folks just wanting to more closely share their soul journey together with like-minded folks and with me, Sven. For a monthly fee, you'll get bi-monthly live Q&As with me, Sven, giving you a better chance of getting your own questions answered. A private community feed for you to post pictures, successes, struggles, joys, even the occasional cat picture, creating greater connection and help for healing and growth. Random drawings for free small group sessions and drawings for private coaching sessions with me. Priority access to becoming a guest on the Badass Counseling Show podcast. Unlimited access to my DIY video courses, Healing the Soul and Unleashing Your Greatness. And so much more. Community Plus is for people serious about their soul journey who want real growth, real help, real laughter, real connection, and true community. Join us now at badasscounseling.com.
From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello. Welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, a taping of a lightning round. This is Badass Counseling. I am Sven Erlandson, the Badass Counselor. We are talking to you from the New York City tri-state area, whether you are checking in from Ontario or Oahu, from down under, all our friends down in Queensland, Australia, and way over there in South Africa, all through Scandinavia and Europe. It's great to have you here tuning in with us. I am taking your questions, but before I do, I am joined in studio by KC in the booth and Rob the Rocket next to me. Rob, what say ye?
Why, oh, did I leave Ohio? I was just wondering that when I saw somebody check in from there. I enjoyed living in Ohio.
I enjoyed living in Ohio. Ohio is a good place to live.
It is.
That being said, we are jumping into our very first question of the day. And this comes to us from Buttercup on TikTok, who says, what are your thoughts on gentle parenting? What are my thoughts on gentle parenting? My thoughts are on gentle parenting is that it's twofold, two things. One, long overdue. We've had enough of the rough shit for so long, all right? That it's just more love. In my work, I see people who have gone through the worst of the worst. I see people who have had shitty childhoods and mistreated and all this shit. It's just like, fuck, can we just fucking be gentle and be fucking kind to children? But the other side of that is, but children need firm boundaries. And children need expectations, and they need to have chores, and there has to be follow through. You know, if little Susie hits her brother, Susie is 3 and her brother is 5 and she hits her brother. Yeah, you need to be excused to your bedroom, Susie. You do. You need to be excused to your bedroom because we don't act this way around here. There has to be clear follow through. But here's the problem. One of the problems that happens with parenting goes on inside the parent. How the parent treats the child comes second. What's going on inside of the parent? This is why I always tell people, you want to radically transform your parenting, go back and heal your own fucking childhood. Because what so often happens is this, and I'm going to set it up with a question. My question to you is simply this. If you are a parent, let me ask you this question. If you were to be totally fucking honest, what percent do you want to be liked by your child? And we could even set it up this way. What percent do you want to be liked by your child, and what percent do you want to be respected by your child? So is it 20-80? Is it 80-20? Is it 27-73, 14, 86, whatever? What is it? Because the simple truth of the matter is this. The original question is, what are your thoughts on gentle parenting? I am all in favor of gentle parenting. I had gentle parents, but there were still chores. There were still expectations. There was still follow through. There was discipline. I got spanked now and then. Am I a fan of spanking? I never felt the need to spank my kids. I was just always disciplined in, nipping shit in the bud so it didn't get big. So I didn't have to lose my shit and spank a child. But I'm back to this question. What percent do you want to be liked by your child, and what percent do you want to be respected by your child? Why? Because the degree that you want to be liked by your child will cause you to not follow through and be the parent when the child needs you to be the parent. Instead, you'll be so afraid of them fucking liking you that you'll go too easy on them. You'll let them get away with shit. You'll do too much shit for them. Okay? By the time I was 6, I was literally darning my own socks. For those of you who don't know what darning is, it's you get a hole in your sock, you have this little like wooden ball and you stick it up inside your sock and then you thread the needle and you pull it through and you basically weave a patch over that hole. I had to wash my own clothes, scrub my own fucking football pants by the time I'm like 10. All right? The blood, the dirt. Why? Because mom had fucking arthritis. She's doing laundry for 6 fucking kids and the adults. All right? It's good for children to learn chores, but it's like if you so need your child to like you, that you're not going to be hard on them when they need you to be hard on them, and set clear guidelines and have chores. And you so need them to meet your needs for affection or for attention, you are not going to be the parent that you need to do. So really, when I'm asked, what are your thoughts on gentle parenting? It's both and. It's both gentle and kind and also firm. And there have to be expectations and chores and follow through. All right? And it doesn't, if you're spanking your child, it's because you've lost your shit. It's because you weren't nipping it in the bud when it was small. And if you constantly nip it in the bud, in other words, if you have self-discipline to always nip shit in the bud when it's small, it won't get big. People say, oh, that's bullshit. No, it's not fucking bullshit. If you're having to fucking spank your kid hard or something when they're 8 or 10, it's because you weren't disciplined back when they were 2 and 3 and 4, and just bit by bit by bit by bit. Yes, every time. It's just like a puppy. If your puppy goes pee-pee in the house, and you don't take it outside, guess what? Puppy's going to go pee-pee in the house again. Or if you do it sometimes, but then you don't take it outside other times, the puppy's not going to know. And puppy's just going to go in the house because I don't fucking know. Maybe this is one of those times where I don't get taken outside. Right, but if you do it every single time, puppy eventually goes to the door and wants to go outside because they know they got to go pee-pee outside. Same way with children. You got to do it every single motherfucking time. Next question. Here we go. This is from Lydia over on Facebook. Just found out my husband had been messaging another woman for the last 3 years. He deleted all the messages, and I'm supposed to believe him. He did admit to some things, but only after he was caught. Could this be worked through? Yes, sure, it could, if he were fucking honest. But the mere fact that he's deleted everything and doesn't want you to see it and only admits some things, and then that tells me you're not going to work through it. He is going to be hiding shit from you, Lydia, and you're not going to be able to trust him. The only way cheating gets worked through is if both parties have the balls to be honest, but it's not just that. Then you have to get with a therapist who actually is fluent in cheating and knows that you have to go down to problems that predate this relationship. I wrote a book on infidelity. It's out of print right now. They're re-editing it. It'll get back out, whatever, next year, whatever it is. But fundamentally, all problems within a marriage predate that relationship. Cheating is a desire to get some need met that has nothing to do with this fucking relationship. So when people say, oh, if I would have just gotten more sex, bullshit. The problem is still there. If she would have just been this, or if he's too much of this, and so I'm just gonna, I can't handle this anymore, I gotta cheat. Bullshit, you're being a fucking coward. You want to end the relationship, end the relationship. If your needs aren't being met, have the fucking decency to end the fucking relationship. But cheating, that's just a coward's way out. Right. And it's because you got shit inside of you from your fucking childhood that is unresolved, and you will just want more and more and more, and you're willing to hurt someone you claim to fucking love. Can that be worked through? Yeah, if you go down to the really deep issues. But it's not just that the cheater needs to do the work. You need to do the work. If you are the one who is cheated on, you need to do the work. You want to know why? Because if you take that fucker back, they're potentially going to slide. And the question is, have you changed enough that you're going to nip it in the bud every time, that you're going to hold them accountable, that you're going to stand up for yourself? Because if you're not going to do that, it doesn't fucking matter if they've changed or not, because you're just in your same old fucking patterns. Furthermore, if you do get out of the relationship, you still have work that you need to do on you. So the question isn't what are they doing? The question is, what are you fucking doing to heal yourself and finally stand up strong for yourself and not back the fuck down when somebody mistreats you? Next question. Go ahead, Rob.
Another husband question over here on YouTube.
Yep.
Sandy says, my husband is an extreme taker, been married 38 years. I've been standing up to him thanks to you, Sven. Now, he has seen the light after I agreed to a divorce. How do I know if he has really changed?
That's the way it always goes. Sandy, right? It's Sandy. Sandy, that's the way it always goes. See, the thing is, so many people, when they're considering leaving or considering divorcing, or where there's been infidelity or they're thinking about leaving, is I'll say to them, until you reach the point where you stand up to your partner, because she always shoots you down, or he's always an asshole. To the point where you stand up, nothing's going to change. And then the person will say, well, I stand up to my husband all the time. No, you don't. You stand up and then you sit down. That's the problem. You stand up for yourself and then you back down. You get this display of power and then you back down. And so as a result, you are conditioning them to know that you can be intimidated. So when you go to escalate your power to stand up for your needs, they escalate even higher and sort of knock you back down and get their boot right back down on your throat. And they know they can. So all they got to do is keep escalating till you back the fuck down. So then when you finally get the pain has gotten so bad, you reach the fuck it point and you say, I'm out of here. Fuck you. I'm out of here. And you start doing the paperwork. They sense a difference because their escalation isn't working anymore. And you're just resolute. There's a knowing. It's not a hoping, a wondering, a thinking, a maybe-ing. It's a knowing, and they sense it. And that's when they go from escalating to now all of a sudden, there are roses and cotton candy and rainbows out their butthole, right? Right. Now they change. I've changed. I've seen the light Lord of Jesus. Right? They changed. Now they fucking watch. Oh, yeah, of course you fucking want. You don't want me. You just want me to come back and pour love into your love cup for you. It's still about you. See, you'll know that they really changed if they fucking say to you, you know what, honey? You're right. I've been a fucking asshole. And if I were living with me, I'd go too. But I'm going to fucking change. I want you to go and I want you to be free. And that's okay because that's the fate that I have fucking earned. But I'm going to change. And maybe one day you'll look at me differently and maybe you won't. But I need to change for me at the very least. But one day I would like to get you back. But if he's just wanting you to stay, oh, I've changed or I'm going to change, it's just a sales technique. He just wants you to come back and keep meeting his fucking needs. What has he actually done? Right? And the thing is, it's results over time. Results over time. And right now, I'm betting that it's promises. Well, promises are fucking easy. In the immortal words of my favorite, Mary Poppins, promises are like pie crusts, easily made, easily broken. It's just fucking words. You have evidence you have physical evidence of his actions over time. Actions have said message A, but now message B is his pie hole saying, oh, but blah, 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 blah. It's just fucking words. Anybody can say that shit. And I would lie my ass off too if I were in his position and my love source were leaving. Why not lie your ass off? Because in the past, you'd fucking believe it. So you got to ask yourself if you're going to believe his bullshit yet again. And the truth is, sometimes we want to believe it. So we go back and there's no shame in that. That's okay. And I've had clients who have come to me after they've gone back 7 or 10 or one woman even, she had gone back 13 times over the course of whatever, 10 years, 12 years, whatever it was. Finally, she came to me and we healed the shit and she was able to move on her own. But the bottom line is, again, you have to do your work on you. Are you doing your work on you such that you have clarity and resoluteness inside of you? All right, next question. Laura asked the question. Oh, I love this one. This is a quickie. Laura asked the question over on TikTok. How do I tell my ex no without hurting their feelings? That is a great question. The answer is you don't. If you're saying no, if you're standing up for your fucking feelings and your boundaries hurts their feelings, oh well. You have every right to stand up for your fucking boundaries. You have every right to express your feelings and express your need to have your wants met. And if they play the card, well, that hurts my feelings, they're manipulating the shit out of you. Either that or they are so fucking sensitive, they cannot handle you having feelings and wants and needs. Well, that's not a reciprocal fucking equitable relationship. And in all likelihood, potentially, I mean, the mere fact that that is happening, that you're asking that question says that this has been going on for some time, which raises the likelihood that they are using that to manipulate you into not having a no, which means you're just always saying yes to them. And the mere fact that you're asking this question says you want to say no, but you have been conditioned to believe that if my no, if my wants, my not wants, my feelings come at someone else hurting even a little bit, then I have to stuff my feelings and wants and needs down. And I am telling you, Laura, who asked this question, you will be fucking miserable for the rest of your life if you live that way. But folks, this is a great example right here. I love Laura's question. This is a great example of what I in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. And when you guys hear me talk about core beliefs, we're seeing it right here. Laura is telling us one of her core beliefs in her question. Do you hear it? And this is why questions are just so fascinating. She asked the question, how do I tell my ex no without hurting their feelings. Implicit in her question is that it's bad to hurt someone's feelings. I feel bad if I hurt someone's feelings. That is likely coming from a place of she's been conditioned to don't hurt someone else's feelings, make the other person happy, or the only chance you have of getting love is if they're happy with you. So I just want people around me to be happy. I'll do whatever I got to do. I'll be whatever I got to be. I'll do everything for you. Just like me, please. So you become hyper tuned into everyone else's feelings. And I don't want anyone else to feel bad or to feel like I've hurt their feelings, because then they may not want me. Then they may reject me. Then they may leave me. And until your no, until your boundaries, until your no, until your wants, until your feelings matter enough that you're willing to hurt somebody's feelings, and the truth is they'll fucking recover. And if they won't cover, you are with someone who is extraordinarily too sensitive and has too much shit from their own past. But until you are willing to stand up for your own self, even if it means someone else being a little butthurt by it, you are negating yourself. At the point that you can say your no and stand up for it and being okay with them being hurt, and not that you're hurting them to be a dick, it's just that I have every right to have my fucking feelings. At the point that you can do that, that is a statement of your self-worth. You are fundamentally shit. When you stand up and say your no, people, you are shouting to the heavens the underlying message, I matter. For the first time in my motherfucking life, I fucking matter. So how do you tell your ex no without hurting their feelings? You don't. You just tell them your no. You tell anyone your fucking no. And it's easier almost with your ex because there's a distance, but the more intimate the relationship, the scarier it is to say no. But you have to have the courage to do it, because that's where life begins. Life begins at the word no. When we're children, the single scariest word in the English language is hearing no. No, you can't go to band camp. No, you can't have the candy bar in the checkout aisle at the grocery store. When we're adults, single scariest word in the English language is saying no. No, I don't want to do that. No, you can't treat me that way. No, that's not fair. Because the fear is, if I show you who I really am, and no is an expression of a boundary. It's an expression of self. The fear is that you won't like me and you might walk away. So the price is very, very high of finding your no, but finding your no is where life begins. All right, next question. On TikTok. I'm trying to cut off my toxic dad, and he tries to come back in with a call or a text or to show up at my house. Okay, there's no question there, so I'm going to assume the implicit question is, how do I do this? How do I cut off my dad? And when he tries to come back in with a call or text, well, it sounds like you need to block him. I mean, obviously, you're trying to cut him off, and the mere fact that he can still text you is bothering you, and you don't want it. So block him there. Block them on email. And the truth is, while it's painful maybe to have to do, if you have to have some sort of restraining order filed against them, then do it. This is about your life, your sanity. You have every right to fucking do this. And so many people saying nowadays, oh, these fucking young kids cutting off their parents and this is bullshit and all this. I say, really? Really? Yeah, this is some new fucking phenomenon, because people haven't been fucking doing this for a long time. Furthermore, in my experience in counseling practice of 30 years, it's not the fucking 20-year-olds that are doing this shit. It's people in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s, and it's been long overdue. This isn't children doing this. Sure, some of them are. But they're more taking it for a test spin. And I actually did a full-blown article in the newsletter on the Badass Counseling website on this whole notion of cutting off your parents. It was our newsletter this month at badasscounseling.com. If you want it, it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Just go on the Badass Counseling website and click to receive the newsletter. And it's a very in-depth analysis of this exact problem that is so... it's so in popular culture right now. It's on a lot of tongues. And the bottom line is, Casey, if you need to cut off your dad, cut off your dad. You have a right to stand up for yourself and to take whatever measures are necessary within the law to do so. All right. Shar says, in response to a question I was asking earlier, let them hurt. You must be authentic. It's required. Seems to be implying that if someone hurts, and is it required that you always have to be authentic if it's going to hurt someone? No, there's no requirement. Do whatever the fuck you want. It's your fucking life. I'm just saying you're not going to be happy if you're spending your whole life more worried about other people's feelings than your own. You're never going to fucking be happy. That you will live the life of a fucking tragic martyr, miserable inside, feeling heavy by life. All right, next question. Ginny on TikTok asks the question, how do you date after a divorce when your child struggles with it? Or should I not? Well, first of all, you don't say how recent the divorce is, okay? And first and second of all, just because you're dating does not mean the child has to meet the person you're dating. In fact, if you are dating, you shouldn't be introducing them to your child, all right? If it's not at the point where it's a very, very serious relationship that has been established over time, the child should not be meeting the adult. Why? Because if you don't know that you're going to be with them for a long time, then what that's going to create, if you leave or this person leaves you, is it's going to create massive unrest and a feeling of insecurity in the child, not knowing if someone's coming or going, not knowing who is permanent in their life. And you state the question, should I not, if my child struggles with my dating? Second of all, you don't say how old the child is, but I am not a fan of the child determining how the parent spends their personal life. The parent has to have a personal life. You cannot make your whole life your child. Why? At the very least, your child will feel the burden of that. That they are fundamentally solely responsible for your happiness. That's too much to put on any individual. But just as importantly, you're going to be fucking miserable. You won't have any more love. You're not filling up your own love cup. You won't have love to give to that child. But also, you're going to allow that child to control your life. And see, this isn't good. When a parent is so, I was sort of talking about this earlier, where a parent is so wanting the child to like them or approve of them or give them permission, which is sort of what you're saying here. I need permission from my child to live my adult life. No fucking way. You're giving the child way too much power here. The inmates are running the asylum, so to speak. Okay, so how do you date after divorce when your child struggles with it? What you need to do, two things, if your child is struggling, is there need to be these conversations without you forcing an agenda, just allowing the child to express all their feelings. If your child doesn't have a therapist, I'd recommend getting one. That they can talk about their feelings, but the child cannot be of the belief that they run the parent's life. That's an inversion of roles. That's what all the kids nowadays like to call parentification. Turning the child into the parent. And you're looking to your child for permission? No. Now, that child should not be introduced to the people you're dating. Should not. It creates too much turmoil. It's like dating a parade for the child. No. But you are definitely, you not only are entitled to have your life, you need to have a life. If you want to date, otherwise you wouldn't have even fucking brought it up. But the child needs to get their feelings, their pains, their fears out. And it could be out of feelings of longing or loyalty to the other parent that you were married to, your ex, and that they feel like you're being disloyal, or it hurts their feelings to know that you can go on so quickly without daddy or whatever. And they need to get all this out. And they have every right, and they need their feelings tended to, but no, they don't get to determine your dating life. All right. Oh, you know what? We're going to take a quick break. We have much more with you right back.
You know, I've read so many self-help books, and I always get something good out of them. But when I dove into There's a Hole in My Love Cup, well, it changed me. I cannot recommend this book highly enough. My copy is very dog-eared and highlighted. Thanks, Sven, for writing it. I love There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and believe you will also. Order your copy at badasscounseling.com.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
We are back with a lightning round. All right, we've got some quick ones I want to fire out here. Tammy on Facebook asked the question, Sven, why do you think my husband gets upset when I listen to you? And then she says, I think because you tell the truth. Probably that, yeah. But also, this is actually classic, that a lot of times in a relationship, a partner will fear the other person going to therapy, or the partner will say, I don't want to go to therapy, or the partner will say, I don't like you hanging around such and such person. The fear driving it is that this other person is putting ideas in your head. And it's not just the fear that, oh, then you might leave me. No, it's the fear that then I can't control you to some greater or lesser degree. Tammy, I'm willing to bet that your husband, not just because I tell the truth, it's the result of that telling the truth that he fears. There's some eventuality, you having a greater sense of autonomy, you standing up for yourself more, you not tolerating his shit more, potentially. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm sure if you're married to him, he's a lovely person. But what happens is when I'm used to sort of a status quo and then my partner changes because they're standing up for themselves more, I may not like it. Makes me feel uncomfortable, or I just like the old way we did it. So yeah, if you have been changing, of course he's not going to like you listening to me because he likes it the old way. And maybe that did include control, or he could manipulate you or what have you. Next question is this. Suzanne on TikTok says, I heard another person say on this app that blocking people is a sign of emotional insecurity. Well, the obvious answer is duh. Of course it is. That if I choose to block let's say it's an ex, and she's a fucking maniac and she's like stalking me and stuff. Yeah, I don't feel secure emotionally. I don't feel secure because she's always up my ass. She's always everywhere. She shows up at my work. She blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't feel fucking safe. I feel non-secure. Obviously. Why else would you block someone? Because you don't feel safe. They don't treat you as sacred. They don't respect your feelings. They don't respect your wants. They don't respect your needs. So obviously, it is a sign of my emotions, my feelings, who I am is not safe with you around. I'm fucking blocking you. You need to get the fuck back, right? I mean, it's the same reason you put up a fence around your property, to create distance between you and something so that you and your dogs and your partner and your children can feel safe, obviously. But that's not what you're saying, is it, Suzanne? You're saying, now I'm going to read this differently, you guys. Same words, I'm just going to read it differently. I heard another person say on this app that blocking people is a sign of emotional insecurity. In other words, you're weak. You're a fucking pussy, that you need to block people. That's what's implied with emotional insecurity. And that's just a put down. That's someone saying, I don't like that you're blocking me, so I'm going to call you names. It's like, oh, really? That's your best shot? Okay, sugar tits. All right, next question. Right. Here we go.
Got one here.
All right, go for it.
On YouTube, we got Cat Mac, who says, I went no contact with my sister due to an incident between her husband and my 13-year-old daughter. I went no contact with her. Now she wants to repair things. How do I do that?
Oh, gosh, I have to hear. It just ask her, what's her name?
Cat Mac.
Cat Mac, I got to ask, I think we're all wondering with bated breath, and I'll take another question here while you're going into that. When you say an incident between her husband and your 13-year-old daughter, I got to hear what that quote-unquote incident is, all right? In the meantime, Sunshine Girl asks, how do I move on after a long-term breakup? Very often not very often, always, if you can't move on after a breakup, it's because of the feelings inside of you that you're still feeling. It could be anger and betrayal and resentment and rage. And so you haven't gotten those out of you. And so one foot is still stuck in the past. All right. But very often it's not the yucky feelings that are keeping us stuck in the past. It's the love. It's the longing. You've heard me say this. I went through this after my second divorce. A year later, I had divorced her, and a year later, I'm not moving on. I'm like, what the fuck, Sven? And I realized it's because I still love her and I miss her. I still had the feelings of love in me. That's what was keeping, while I had one foot moving forward, that's what kept one foot stuck in the past. In order to swing that past foot moving forward, I had to flush out all the feelings that were keeping me stuck, specifically the love, the longing, the lust, all those things. And so it's flushing, using journaling, writing letters to that person that you do not send. That's what it is. And then I have one more a second question I want to ask before we get back to your person on YouTube, if she's followed up with us there, Rob. But Linda on TikTok asked the question, do you have any pointers on how to navigate the holiday season when the adult children do not get along? Yes. My response to holiday season is an article I wrote on the website last November. You can go to the website and all of the articles are there. They're all free. You don't have to fucking sign up for anything. But they are all there. And the one on holiday season, I believe it was November 2023. And it's an in-depth analysis of so many, not all, there are too many, but of the aspects of holidays and adult children and so forth. And so you're asking, Linda, any pointers on how to navigate the holiday season when adult children do not get along? Simply tell them, I mean, there's so many things, but one of the things I would tell them is, if you're going to come, you're all going to fucking play nice. If you are coming to my home for the holidays, you are going to treat each other with respect. There is not going to be fighting. There is not under this roof, all right? Don't be a fucking dick. You're adults now. You want to sort your shit out, you're not going to sort it out by ruining everybody else's fucking Christmas. And this is one of those that I was talking about earlier. If you need your kids to like you, you're not going to draw the hard line. And this is one of those situations where you got to draw the fucking hard line and you got to enforce that shit. because they don't have a right to ruin it for everyone else. All right, Rob, follow up. Take us back to this question.
Okay, so Cat Mac says he physically went to attack her and she ended up kicking him where it counts. Then my sister lost it on both of us, but has since apologized for her behavior, but he hasn't apologized yet. She told me he will be calling to apologize.
Okay, so the original problem was this, that it's a woman writing in and her sister's husband had an incident with the person writing in. We'll just call her, what will we call her, Rob?
Cat?
Cat. Okay, so Cat is writing to us saying, hey, you know, my sister's husband had an altercation with my 13-year-old daughter, got what is it, physically aggressive?
Yeah, they went to attack her.
Oh, Jesus. Physically, presumably, not just verbally.
She says physically went to attack her.
Physically went to attack my 13-year-old kid, and my kid kicked him in the nuts, and then my sister blames my 13-year-old kid. The husband blames my 13-year-old kid, but now later, my sister wants to kiss and make up with me, and she has apologized for her actions?
That's right, but he hasn't yet. She says he's going to.
Right, and I'd say, hey, great, put your money where your mouth is, then let's talk. This is, because the bottom line is this, you can reconnect with your sister. You can reconnect with your husband, or her husband. But don't forget this, Kat. Your highest responsibility in this situation is to protect your 13-year-old child. All right? That means you have to protect your 13-year-old child. That means your actions have to convey that I am protecting my child, even above protecting my relationship with my sister. Because your child is 13 and being physically attacked by an adult male. If you do not protect your daughter now, fully, you are sending the message to your daughter, I value my sister and family relationships with my siblings more than I value protecting you physically and your spirit. And therefore, if you're asking my opinion, I'd say, listen, I have my feelings and so on and so forth. Before any of this goes anywhere, your husband needs to apologize, and it sure as motherfucking shit better be sincere and not a fucking text message or a fucking email or whatever, that he needs to humble himself and speak to the child and take his lumps, man. He's got to take his fucking medicine, which may mean he's eating shit, because he has to understand he was physically attacking a child. And whether you like it or not, and she had every right to kick you in the balls. I'm sorry, you're physically attacking a child. That child has every right to protect themselves. Fact.
She got congratulated by some people online that her kid defended herself that way. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And what I would do, honestly, is you might also consider having your 13-year-old child talking to a therapist or a child psychologist, or even going in and talking to a school counselor, someone other than just you. So that they can open up with all their honest feelings. But your kid is going to, in order to reestablish feeling safe, she's going to need that. But safe in the home, you can't force a reality on her. You can't force her to now go all kumbaya at the fucking Thanksgiving fucking dinner table where we're going, having uncle and auntie over, and now you got to go back to everything's normal. No, that child, you need to begin to ask that child, what do you need? Now, she doesn't get to run the entire fucking show, but she has every right to have her needs met, to feel safe. And she shouldn't be expected to just play ball just because all the fucking adults have gone all fucking namaste.
Cat Mac sent the daughter to a therapist after this.
Score, Cat. Good play. And then I guess the final question is, where's your daughter at with all of this? But in the end, your sister's husband, definitely. It's not just some words of, oh yeah, I did, I'm sorry, gee, now let's move on. If there is deflection, if there's an attempt to deflect, deny, dodge, or defend himself, it's not real. All right? He can't say, well, you blah, blah. No, that's where the conversations end. We're the 13-year-old, so you are going to blame the 13-year-old because you can't fucking control yourself as a grown-ass fucking man? Fuck you. For it to be real contrition, he has to humble himself, and she's got to feel it, and she's got to know it. And it's got to be free. Him apologizing has to be free, and that is that there's no expectation to the 13-year-old. A real apology in this case looks like this. I'm just going to pretend your 13-year-old daughter is named Susie. Susie, and sitting down with Susie and say, Susie, you had no responsibility or expectation that you had to meet with me today. You had no, if you chose not to, I would understand. And the fact that you are doing this, I thank you for that. I want to apologize to you, but before I do, I need you to know that there's no expectation that you have to forgive me. Furthermore, you do not ever have to have a relationship with me, and I would understand if that were the case. Because I broke a boundary. I violated the safety of a child. And that's just not okay. So I'm going to apologize to you knowing I may never get a relationship with you, but it's more important that you know that what I did was wrong. And there is no excuse. And I am so fucking sorry. And if you choose to never have a relationship with me, that's okay. I understand. And I will stay away from family gatherings if that would make you feel more safe. 100%. Now, that's a real fucking apology, people. That's a real fucking apology. Versus, well, you know, Susie, I mean, come on, let's be honest. You were kind of being a little mouthy there. Oh, really? So you're going to blame the fucking child because you lost your shit? No. All right, next question. Oh, here we go. I love this one. I love this question. We've all been there, all right? We've all been there. And here's Tyler's question on TikTok. Tyler, I love your question. I really do. It's so sincere. I love this. Tyler says, how do I respect my ex's choice for space, yet show her I still want her? We have all been there, right? Where you want someone and they're pushing you away. We've all fucking been there. Hell, I couldn't even count the number of times I've been there, Tyler. I get it. All right. And this is something I deal with lots of my clients. The way you respect your ex's choice for space, yet show her you still want her. You don't have to keep showing her. Telling someone you want them, having them know, well, you know what you do, Tyler? And I'm betting you've already done it. You tell her, I want you back. I do. And I'll wait until I can't wait anymore. But I will wait. So just, you tell her that. And I'm betting you've already told her once. Now, the other side of it, and that is give her space. Well, how do you do that? You shut the fuck up and you back the fuck off. And you don't keep selling her. Well, have you decided yet? Well, do you want me now? You don't do that. Why? Because you're not respecting her space. And you know what the hard part about that is, Tyler? Well, you know what the hard part about that is. It's fucking hard. You want her. And I get that, Tyler. There's nothing wrong with that, brother. I have been there so many fucking times in my life, and not just in my 20s, in my fucking 40s, right? Back then. Okay. And it's okay. So the real obstacle to you giving her the space, it's not hard for you to tell her you want her, but you don't have to do it more than once. You've made your point. Let it go. But the thing is, you can't let it go. You just want to be around her. You want to tell her more. You want to try to close the sale. And this is the difference. This is the hard thing in love, is the hard sell. We so want to do the hard sell, and there's really no other sell but the soft sell, the slow sell. And what that means is the hard sell is where, you know, it's like a used car salesman. And I was used car salesman at one point, so I can do this for like a week. And it's like, no, and we have these features, but you really want to do it, right? Come on, let's take it out for a test spin. All right, we're back from the test spin. Why don't you go park it right there in the I'm buying this car parking spot right in front there. And all, you know, it's the hard sell. You're pushing the sale. And that's what you want to do because you don't want to lose the sale with this girl, do you, Tyler? But that doesn't work. Why? Because you're going to look fucking desperate. But that's not why it doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is because this is coming from a place of your own insecurities. All right? It's not whether or not you get this girl, because even if you don't get this girl, you're still going to have the problem of needing someone to confirm your worth, needing this person, needing love, versus you going inside of yourself. See, this is an opportunity now when she wants space. You flush out your fucking feelings. You do your fucking journaling. You write her letters that you don't send, pouring out all your feelings, because the more you do that, the less insecure you're going to be. And the more able you're going to be to let go if she moves on from you, or the more able you're going to be to let go now, or the more able you're going to be inside a relationship, that you're not constantly needing her to confirm your worth and spend every minute with you. And it's hard. I've fucking been there. We've all been there. All right? But that is such a beautiful question, Tyler. I love you for asking that question, man. That's just such an honest question. Okay. Kish Patel says, can you explain how to set boundaries with parents that infantilize? It runs in my family, and I'm 25. Infantilize. In other words, they treat me like I'm a fucking baby, and they don't ever let me, quote unquote, let me grow up. And so they treat you basically like an infant, a baby, right? Yeah, you start by saying no, You start by not allowing someone to treat you that way. And that's where you start. And you keep holding to that boundary. And if they don't, then you create a little bit of distance for yourself. But the bottom line is nothing's going to change until you have the courage to stand up and speak the truth and not back down from your truth and to stand up for your no. And no doubt they will act in some sort of demeaning way that either minimizes your truth or talks over you or doesn't let you have the respect that you're wanting. And then you've got to stand up a little bit firmer. And it's just standing up for yourself and not backing down. And then if you need to create some distance, you may need to create some distance for a while and tell them, I'm really serious. I will not allow you to treat me this way. People treat us the way we train them to treat us. All right. Next question. Sonia Lee says on Facebook, Sven, I do all this shit. I've been doing all this, the writing of the letters, but not sending the letters has been hard. Yeah, it is hard. And the reason it's hard, you guys hear me say this all the time, write the letters to the person that you do not send. And not sending is hard. And you want to know why it's hard? Because you want to convince them. You want to pour out your feelings because if I convince them, if I can just tell them, then maybe they'll want me. If I can just do a little bit more, if I just say it differently, then they'll want me, right? But the goal in the writing of a letter, if you want to send a letter, send the letters. I sent them with my first wife. I sent all these fucking letters. Didn't have an effect. Maybe a couple times it would move her heart a little bit, but in the end, it didn't keep us together. And in the long run, it was a blessing. She's a lovely person. We're friends now, almost 30 years later. But it's just like, oh my God, that was a blessing that it didn't work out because I've had so much wonderful life afterwards, and I'm with a wonderful person whom I never would have met, and et cetera. And so the point is, yeah, you want to send it. It's hard, but the purpose of the letters isn't to win them back. The purpose of the letters is to flush out your pain, flush out your longing, flush out your sadness, flush out your missing them, all those feelings. Why? So that I can be lighter inside. And you believe that you need them in order to make your heaviness go away. And what's really creating the heaviness is all those feelings in there that you need to flush out of you. So if you want to send the letter, send the fucking letter. What the fuck do I care? But the bottom line is, it doesn't change the fact that the real healing is in the writing of the letter. It's not necessarily in them reading it. But you're hoping it'll win them back, which means your worth, your happiness is still tied up in them. And what I'm telling you is your ultimate happiness is tied up in flushing out your own shit. Tyler responds back just as a follow-up, and I don't usually do this, but Tyler, who asked the question, basically, how do I give her space yet still convey to her that I love her? And we told Tyler, hey, tell her and then back the fuck off. Tyler says, Mom and Dad taught me to fight for what I want, yet I have to fight not to talk to her. Yeah, well, fight for what you want is, unfortunately, as kids, we so often take as absolute a piece of advice that your parents gave us. So if my father told me, always save for a rainy day, well, shit, I better save every last penny in case there's an emergency. Every last penny. Don't ever enjoy life. Well, maybe the old man wasn't actually saying that, but when you're a kid, you hyper-literalize shit that parents say. And so you, as a good kid, Tyler, I'm sure you're a wonderful young man, they taught you to fight for everything I want. Yeah, on one hand, but on the other hand, no. There's some things you can't fight for. There's nothing you can, when people say, I'm fighting for this relationship, what does that mean? You can't, and I'm not talking to you, Tyler, now I'm talking to everyone. We've all used the phrase, I want to fight for the relationship, but what does that mean? You can't force this other person to like you more. You can't force them. And so this person, Tyler, is telling you they want something. They want space. So if you want to fight for the relationship, quote unquote, if you care about them, then give them the very thing they're asking. So, and you basically say that. You say, Mom and Dad taught me to fight for what I want, yet I have to fight not to talk to her. Yes, exactly. Right. You want this so bad that I want to do everything. I'll do everything. I'll do anything except the one thing that she wants, and that is to back off. And it sucks because she may walk away from you, Tyler. She may be doing the slow walk out of the relationship. She may be creating a little space now just to break up with you later. And it happens all the time. That may be the case. And what you're going to have to do, kiddo, is you're going to have to grieve. Flush all that sadness and misery and betrayal and anger and everything out of you. All of it. Right? Because that's how you fucking heal you. So you may lose the girl. But forcing it when she's telling you, I need you space, getting up in her grill and I want you more and blah, 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 that's just going to make it worse. Because it's showing you don't even fucking respect her. So even if you did get her back, if I were her therapist, I'd be saying, wait, you went back to a guy who wouldn't even listen to you when you fucking asked for space? What the fuck is going on in you, young lady, that you would take back somebody who doesn't even respect your word? See, there you create a problem. All right. Rob, you had a question for me.
Yeah, it's another question about your method, Sven. It's from Balancing Forces on YouTube. Would it help to write an autobiography before I start your book? Do the work in your book and then see where I am after that, since you get an autobiography before you help people.
Yeah. The Balancing Forces is asking a question asking a question about the autobiography. If you've visited my website and my counseling page, you know, or if you've heard me talk before, that I require of any new client that they write an autobiography for me. It has to be 10 pages or less. I used to allow it to be unlimited pages. I'd get 45 pages and I'd read the fucking things. But 10 pages I'll spend a couple hours with and I'll study it and so on and so forth. And that enables me, to be fluent in your life story so that when we start counseling, I can hit the ground running. I literally know I'm fluent in your story and I can go deep now, literally now. Okay? I'm not wasting 8 fucking sessions just trying to get to know your life story before you get a feel for whether or not I can even fucking help you, wasting your time, wasting your money. So the autobiography is for the purpose of if I'm working with someone in person. Now, if you are Balancing Forces, if you are considering working with me, what I would recommend is reading the book and doing the exercise in the book, doing all the journaling recommendations in the book. And then when you're ready to schedule, about halfway through, I'd recommend scheduling the appointment with me and then start writing your autobiography. But engaging with the book is going to change how you write your autobiography. Or what you can do if you want, write the autobiography first, right, as you propose, then do the book, and then write your autobiography again. See how it changes, if it changes. Or even if you just, in your own head, see how it fucking changes. All right, next question. Okay, question from a male, always good to know that they're taking this shit seriously. All right. Atomic Kevin, 42. Now, you put 42 on there. That's one of my favorite numbers. One of my favorite Vikings, Minnesota Vikings when I was growing up was John Gilliam, and his number was 42. So Atomic Kevin, 42 says, Sven, what are the key elements of keeping a good relationship? Well, everybody says communication. I don't necessarily. I don't. It's not, being able to communicate, and it's not how you communicate and shit. I mean, yes, those things are important, but it's one of the chapters in my book, I talk about the difference between brutal honesty and radical honesty. Brutal honesty, we all know, is, right? It's basically, as I describe it in the book, this, in my opinion, is, well, this is what's wrong with you, and you over there, this is what's wrong with you. And brutal honesty is usually somebody's excuse for just being a dick. Now, there are times in life where we got to call shit out, no doubt about that. But someone who's going through life brutally honest is someone who's just going through life pointing out everything that's wrong with everyone else. It's not an absolute rule, but it's a general rule. Okay? I don't believe in brutal honesty. I don't really believe in brutal anything. It's rare that we need to be brutal in life. Yes, there are times. Yes, there are. And in my work, people pay me to sort of be a bit brutal and just call it as I see it. But in a relationship, what I most believe in is radical honesty. It's what I call radical honesty, where I'm not pointing out what's wrong with you. It's where I'm showing you what's wrong with me. Oh. Where I'm showing you my fears. Where I'm showing you the shit I don't want to show to anyone because I'm too fucking scared that if you know it, you won't like me. I'm showing you my true aspirations. I'm showing you my struggles. I'm showing you me, in the words of my own mother, who passed away at 93 a bunch of years ago. My own mother used to use the phrase, warts and all. I'm showing you my real self, warts and all. I'm showing you who my family was or is, if they were negative, or I'm showing you all the things I'm afraid to show you. That. And you are showing me you. That is the essence of a brilliant relationship. Why? Because we're connecting at a soul level. I have had, no lie, Rob, 2 or 3 male clients in the last month who have all 3 made a similar expression along the lines of, Sven, I just don't get anything out of sex if there's no emotional connection.
Well, duh.
Well, not duh, though. You know that for a lot of guys, no, I just want to get off and I just want to fuck. And, I just bend over, woman, and all this shit, right?
Charming.
Right, exactly. And women are typically thought of as, well, they need that emotional connection before they can physically connect. But for men, for many men, it's that emotional connection too. Well, what creates emotional connection? What creates connection at the soul level? It's where we're revealing our deepest selves. It's that vulnerability, radical honesty. So to your point, Atomic Kevin 42, what are the key elements of keeping a good relationship? The same elements that are of establishing a good relationship. And that is that we're opening, constantly opening. And that I don't need to control this person in order for me to feel loved. And also that, well, let me tell you what it is for my girlfriend and me. And I'm going to ask Rob to weigh in here a second. But for my girlfriend and me, we established from the very beginning, and I'm 57, she's 61. And for us, it's like my highest aim with her is to support her in becoming the fullest expression of herself. And her highest aim vis-a-vis me is to help me become the fullest expression of myself, even if it means my fullest expression leads me away from her, or even if it means her fullest expression leads her away from me. We've both been through divorces, and we know that sometimes relationships end, and it's not always just by death, but sometimes they just end, and that's okay. We'll do it respectfully. We won't hurt. We won't go coy, sly, or behind each other's back or doing dirty shit. We'll have the decency to look the other person in the eye and say, I love you, but life is calling me in a new direction. And we'll grieve, and we'll hug, and we'll kiss, and we'll thank each other for the memories. And but in the end, I want her to be the fullest expression of herself more than I want her to be mine. Because that, to me, is love. So those are a few things. Go ahead, Rob, weigh in on that.
Just on a little bit earlier comment, I learned early on as a young man, as an adult, the difference between getting laid and making love, and how you express that in one way or the other, and how it makes you feel, and what it makes you do.
Interesting. I like that. All right, let's just take one or two more questions here, then we're going to call it a day. Some really great questions here, going deep on some stuff. I like it. Helen Wright, we sort of touched this question earlier, but Helen Wright asked the question, why do I feel so connected to my ex? He was abusive and doesn't appear to have changed, but it's because you still have, this is what love is, guys. A buddy of mine was asking me, he's out west, and we were talking. I knew him when I was living in California. He said, Sven, my wife's been a fucking asshole to me, but I fucking love her. What the fuck's wrong with me? I'm like, well, those two, that's what love is. Just because someone hurts you doesn't make the love go away. It can sort of stuff it down for a bit because you're so consumed with the anger or the rage or the sense of betrayal, but you still love the person. And yeah, he was abusive, but there's still the love there, and that's what's keeping you stuck. And I mentioned this earlier today. You got to flush out all the things that are making you feel stuck, and that means you have to flush out the pain and the sadness, but the longing and the I want you and I miss you. All those feelings you need to be flushing out of you and writing out. And I have a client here saying trauma bond. It's not love. No, it is love. It is love. It is. I'm not saying there isn't trauma. Obviously, there's a bond. You're still connected to the person. No, it's that at the essence, it's just that I simultaneously love this person and hate this person. And the love may be a result of past conditioning as well. But it's not a complex fucking formula. We don't need complex words for what it just is. I would ask you, literally, if you were in the room right now, Helen, I would say, do you feel feelings of love for your ex? Well, you said, I feel connected. That's a reasonable substitute for love. But if I were to pin you down and say, do you feel love for your ex? You'd say, yeah. Okay, so let's just let it be what it is. And if that's how you're calling it, then that's how you're calling it. And that's what has to get flushed out of you. In order to break what some would call a trauma bond, you have to flush out all of the feelings, not just the anger. You have to flush out the feelings of love. And as all my work gets into, you have to go down deep into where that's coming from your past. All right. And more questions on similar things. How do I stop loving someone that I've loved for 15 years? It's all the same thing. It's those feelings of love, of longing, of wanting to be with them going on inside of you. But if you go down deeper, you've got to ask yourself the questions of what's this need being driven by? What's the sadness going on in me that predates that relationship? What's the longing going on in me? What were the messages I was taught about myself that I'm holding on to this person 15 years later to avoid those feelings going on inside of me, or those messages I got as a young person? And those feelings and those messages are what you need to go into, because that's what's causing you to hold on to this person. All right. How do I stay calm in confrontation? I always go from 0 to 100 in a snap. Kevin, you don't solve that problem in the moment. There's no amount of coping mechanism or tool or trick that you can use in that moment. That problem of staying calm in confrontation gets solved before the moment, gets worked on before the moment. You're going white hot from 0 to 100 in a snap because you got so much crud and rocks and manure and dog shit inside of you from your past. So much pain, so much rage, so much anger, so much sadness, so much hurt inside of you. And until all that stuff comes out, you're going to keep responding with a default of anger or with a default of high intensity emotion. All of your shit, you have to be deliberate about the work of getting all of this out before those occurrences happen. And again, that's what I wrote the book for, to get all that shit out of you. Why? So that you're responding differently. I get people saying this all the time. Sven, since I did the work of going inside and healing myself, I don't respond as quickly. I'm not as forceful in my responses. I'm not as angry. I've mellowed out. It's like I've calmed down inside. That's what's happening, Kevin. You're going hot in the moment because you haven't done your work in the off season, so to speak. You haven't flushed all the pain, all the fears, and all the bullshit beliefs you've been taught about yourself out of you. And until you do that, you're just going to keep repeating this pattern, and no amount of anger management or coping skills is going to cause you to do otherwise. The root, the core of the problem is all the shit from the past that has to come out of you. All right, folks, this has been just delightful. Rob, final thoughts on this lightning round today.
Sometimes when we do our shows, Sven, I feel like you're counseling me, and sometimes I feel like you're not. And this was an extreme example, but I won't say in what direction.
All right, that's fair. And you know what? It's like when I was a pastor, I always felt, and I did this in my own preaching, and I try to do it here, I really only address things that I can speak to from my own position, my own weaknesses, my own failings. The job of the pastor, the job of the rabbi, the job of the clergy person is to put their own struggles out there, their own wrestling with the wisdom of life, or their own wrestling with their own struggles, and to put it out there to be somewhat of a marker for others to ping off of, to learn from, to avoid the pitfalls of. So this stuff, it comes from my own experience too, my own failures, and everything that we address here is something that I personally have dealt with at some point or another in my life, and my own pitfalls and failures and fuck-ups and fall-downs. So if it's able to help, it is. If not, oh well, I apologize for that. And hopefully, at the very least, Rob has kept you entertained, because he's the funny one. He's the funny one.
Right.
Rabbit. Well, folks, this has been absolutely delightful. I want to thank you for joining in for another taping of a lightning round of the Badass Counseling Show. On behalf of my entire team here, wherever you are checking in from, whether it's Kansas or Kentucky or Latvia, great to have you here. Have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.